CIRCULENOS, deriving its name from a combination of a circulus or circle and leno, a contraction of the word Manileño, is a hypothetical 90-hectare space in Manila which was designed consciously adopting aspects of Daniel Burnham's plan for Manila while integrating ideas that can address the modern demands of a city. My name is Jacob Layug, and with me is Adrius Gonzales, and this is our project CIRCULENOS.
The project site encompasses the east edge of Intramuros, the northern part of Ermita, a pocket space of southwest Quiapo, just beside Quezon Bridge, and the west part of San Miguel, Manila. Our approach in designing our vision of the space in Manila started with defining applicable principles from what we learned about Burnham's planning method and integrating this into our project.
Narrowing it down to a few focus points, we found three areas or aspects of Burnham's planning to integrate in our project, namely accessibility, homogeneity, and beauty. Accessibility was all about creating a road network that ensures people can go from one place to another in the most efficient way possible. And because there would be focal points in the site which will inevitably attract people, such as civic centers and parks, we wanted to employ Burnham's radial and circumferential roads. But our design process included emulating the growth of tree roots spreading from a designated focal point. This is so that our version of the radial and circumferential roads could be in the form of something more organic, creating an arbitrary variation in the urban landscape.
We also exercise our creative liberty of combining Burnham's approach in road networking with some understanding of thermal comfort. By keeping in mind the way the sun and wind might affect the general temperature in the states, we found that the northeast-southwest orientation of the states experienced the best amount of thermal comfort because of how it balanced solar exposure and wind permeability. States that experience the opposite of this are lined with trees to provide natural shade. Pasig River also plays a role in cooling the states that are oriented away from the direction of the general wind flow.
The second principle, homogeneity, comes from the idea of Burnham's arrangement of the space. Burnham's master plan of Manila included a cultural and civic center that were organized for specific purposes. We wanted to emulate this in a sense that we wanted buildings to communicate. We wanted government buildings to be intertwined with cultural buildings and even mosques to communicate with each other. These connections create this sort of network or system that binds everything together despite being separate, independent structures.
Finally, beauty addresses the life of the city. We wanted our reimagination of Manila to exhibit the romantic qualities that Burnham saw. He saw opportunities, life, history, generally how beautiful Manila was and how beautiful it could be.
While today Manila still holds the charm it always had, we wanted to enhance this by ensuring that things that should be seen can be seen.
We wanted to frame Manila's best qualities in a way that it does not even demand attention. Streets were arranged in a way that they became tools that can highlight zones and landmarks and even make these things communicate with users, passerbys, and even other structures.
We made sure that heritage buildings, other structures of significance, and even Pasig River and Arisaras Forest Park got the respect that they deserve. We wanted buildings of cultural importance to be seen from several spots in the site, sometimes imposing, sometimes modest and charming. Beauty, as one of our principles, aims to protect these elements by fostering appreciation and respect for it. Our master plan was subdivided into five main zones that fostered culture, productivity, entertainment, and community. The assignment of these zones are according to the need for adjacent amenities such as transportation and religious structures. But despite being subdivided into general purposes or groups, these zones still cater to a mix of uses to proportionally attract a mix of users, keeping the entire place alive even during shifts in calendar days such as weekdays versus weekends or shifts in day and night cycles. A few of the most important physical features of the plan that also pays homage to Burnham are the reintroduction of Pasig River, returning it to the public realm as an integral life-giving body of water, inclusion of parks, and the previously mentioned modified radial street system that branches out from designated focal points in the site.
The culmination of these physical features direct to our introduced Pedestrian Beach, situated between Ayala Beach and Manuel L. Quezon Memorial Beach. The immediate goal is to simply connect these two sections of the site, specifically catering to pedestrians and cyclists. However, we found the inclusion of this pedestrian beach as an opportunity to introduce a sort of central, circular park that focuses on human activity, a place for recreation, relaxation, and interaction. From this park, the Manila City Hall Clock Tower and San Miguel Minaret can be seen. These two structures became placemaking tools identifying Ermita and San Miguel respectively. This opportunity also gave us other avenues to generate a dialogue between these two areas that were cut by the Pasig River. Having these common spaces unifies this area, creating a sense of tangible community despite a large gap between them.
This goal of unification through creating loops and connections between spaces were also exhibited through our Halal Market, topped with a park. This market park serves as a sort of buffer zone that visually connects the two mosques, or rather, the two Muslim communities separated by Estero de San Miguel. We also reintroduced the pedestrian underpasses by transforming its main entrances into recreational parks.
The Lagos Nilad entrance was transferred to the rear entrance of the Manila City Hall as a sunken garden accessible to a spiral ramp with a sunken garden at its center. The Loton entrance at the center of Taft Avenue was modified to include a pavilion running along the Quintin Paredes overpass and the Liwasang Bonifacio East overpass. The idea of this pedestrian beach is to cradle the space and provide an opening to the backside, unifying the post office with the Metropolitan Theater and the Manila City Hall.
This pedestrian underpass connects Intramuros and Ermita despite being separated by the almost 10-lane Taft Avenue, with the consideration of making it more commercially available by using the space under the Intramuros Golf Course as an expansion of the underground market. The golf course then doubles as a sort of green roof, making the entire walk between the north and south sections of the site more comfortable. Additionally, this underground market cuts the Intramuros golf course to introduce natural light leaking through the crevice, making underground feel less like underground. The light that goes in during the day then transforms at night as artificial light begins to leak from underground as soon as natural light starts to fade.
We also wanted to introduce the entire space between the Metropolitan Theater and the Manila City Hall. We wanted to open Mayhem Garden to the public and create this entire walk between the two heritage buildings that passes to the park. In doing so, we transferred one of the Universidad de Manila buildings to open the Intramuros facing side of the LRT Central Station into the park, making commuters see the walls of Intramuros as soon as they leave the station, and enter and leave the station to Mayhem Garden. Comfort of the pedestrians was of utmost importance to our plan. As Manila traffic is progressively getting worse, promotion of its walkability is more relevant than ever. Execution of this in the master plan was by assigning 5 main road sections. Each section serves a different purpose such as inclusion of space for extended commercial use, inclusion of vegetation space, and even having streets reserved for purely pedestrian use, requiring very little space.
A majority of these roads provide pedestrian-only access or one-way vehicular access. This helps regulate the influx of vehicles, promoting walking over taking private vehicles while enhancing the safety of commuters. Our entire project has been centered around trying to build between buildings and making them communicate. Just like this area in Manila, a lot of places in the Philippines already developed into car-centric places. Heritage structures were disregarded, and Manila ended up as something that we need to read about just to know why it's still worth keeping. It's been a victim of something like urban cynicism, and what we've been doing is sort of an attempt to reverse that. We built around the existing because we believe that there's still so much to keep within the existing Manila. We wanted the buildings to communicate or to connect with each other because establishing this network of structures helps strengthen and homogenize the community. For instance, the overpass between Manila Post Office and Metropolitan Theater severed the dialogue between the two. So we introduced the pedestrian bridge and pavilion to reconnect them and even include the Manila City Hall and the walls of Intramuros. We used architecture to frame Manila the way we think it can be seen, by utilizing vistas and allowing the area to be written and seen in loops and lines, whether in street level or in an aerial perspective. From as explicit as how we framed the Manila City Hall clock tower and as modest as how we suggested the presence of the San Miguel Mosque minaret, these structures communicate with each other and ask for where the people are in this narrative. In the dialogue between buildings and the architecture of the city around it, we want people to be situated between these conversations. In the picture of Manila that we're trying to paint, the people become the listeners, the viewers, and eventually the ones who will reciprocate these dialogues towards the protection, development, and the future culture of Manila's urban fabric.